Good day, my name is Dinislam Abdulgalimov. Today I'm gonna touch on the way digital tool can be designed to facilitate employee voice and talk about the system we have developed based on the emerged design principles. But firstly, I'd like to thank my co-authors for their help and contribution to this project. Without further delay, let's proceed. I'm going to cover the initial motivations that we had, background that informed it, methods used, findings discovered, and lessons learned. So why it all even matters? According to the recent statistics and polls, working-age adults spend on average 47 hours a week within the physical workplace. It was shown in previous researches that it directly influences the staff retention and satisfaction, as well as indirectly influences the quality of life, work-life balance, family relationship, and mental health. With all of this in mind, and being initially provoked by a call from one of the community partners for a way to provide a safe way to share an experience of being a zero-hour contract workers, we decided to dig in and explore how we can create a trusted and safe environment at the workplace. First of all, let's describe some basics. Employee Voices is a mechanism that aims to allow workplace communities to organize, self-adjust, and preserve a positive and productive atmosphere, as well as cooperatively cope with the rising issues and share concerns and suggestions. It still stays the truth nowadays, despite pervasive automation and utilization of digital technologies, and helps to promote openness and participation among employees. One more thing is that the quite often promoted as a means of giving employees the opportunity to engage directly with colleagues and management is enterprise social networks. The flip side of it that it can also function as tools for management to monitor employees' perception of an organization. Despite being easily trackable and identifiable, such uses can backfire, and where workers perceive a loss of power and privacy, this will inhibit enterprise social network adaptation. These thoughts, supported by initial interview findings, led us to identification of the following overall research questions presented on the screen. We decided to focus our attention on the textual communication between employees due to its familiarity and simplicity to people, as well as ability to provide rich and diverse interaction. In this research, we are adhering to participatory action research approach due to research nature and the fact that we are conducting interviews, workshop, as well as deployed online platform for discussions. We use the mixed methods as well. As a result of this approach, an anonymous secure system for internal workplace discussion was developed. The development process followed 3 stages. Firstly, a series of interviews were conducted in order to identify the triggers for voicing issues within the organization and the facilitator and inhibitors that influence the extent to which staff felt inclined to speak up, coupled with collected feedback regarding the suggested properties and ideas for digital employee voice platform. As outcome of interviews, as was mentioned before, personal and organizational inhibitors and facilitators for speaking up in the workplace context were identified. If you are interested, we have described them in more details in the paper. Based on that, and by considering the phenomena of communication more generally as it pertains to aspirations for employee voice, we can derive a set of communication or discourse qualities for workplace conversation as an analytical abstraction of our themes relating to facilitators and inhibitors. Civility is the quality that ensures that a conversation stays polite and respectful, so it maintains a positive, constructive approach to the community interacting with, in line with the Brown and Levinson definition. Safety implies that a conversation should be conducted in a safe and unthreatened manner in order to promote a more open and frank discussion. Egalitarianism implies that a conversation content, organization, and flow should be indifferent to the employee's position or level in the hierarchy. All of them inform and support genuineness, truthfulness, relevancy, and authenticity of conversation, thus adhering to overall validity of discussion and later findings. Based on this and understanding of the pragmatics of realizing the communication qualities by participants, following themes were operationalized as the set of design goals for digital employee voice system. Assured anonymity operationalize aspects of egalitarianism and safety. Anonymity effectively eliminates any hierarchical structure within the group and facilitates equal contribution while protecting members from any threat of reprisal. Constructive moderation operationalize aspects of civility, egalitarianism, and safety. Moderation, therefore, acts to protect users from themselves and also to protect against others. Moderation also helps to ensure that online discussions are genuinely productive, especially in the setting of online debates. Adequate slowness, operationalized civility, and egalitarianism. One potential byproduct of anonymity can be incivility, which can be filtered using careful and robust moderation. However, flaming often takes the form of a swift and angry response to a comment. By slowing system post-publication, thereby removing the opportunity to make an immediate response, we can at the same time reduce the likelihood of incivility and make the moderation burden more manageable. In our eventual design, we solve the system by limiting the publication of posts and comments to certain times of day. And the last one is controlled access. The involvement of outsiders who have no legitimate interest in the workplace context is highly undesirable. By providing a controlled access mechanism, we can ensure the validity of discussions, as this can only be made by genuine employees, with the important provision that no division should be made between employees in order to protect discourse egalitarianism. In the case of the system that was developed, it was maintained by relying on the work email and usage of temporary access links in order to keep the system anonymous. Adhering to the design goals, we have developed the system with the following functionality. All the users are anonymous. No logins or passwords are required. To access the system, users simply need to enter organizational email address. Thus, it's limited to employees. The system then verifies this email as one belonging to employee of this organization, and then sends a private link to that email account. The private link allows user to secure and anonymously access the system. Moreover, the link can only be used once. Every time user wants post or comment, system assigns a random nickname to the post or comment. Enabled proactive moderation means all posts or comments are moderated before they are made available online, both to ensure constructive discussion and to minimize the risk that users accidentally post information that identifies themselves or others. Moderators can do one of three things: accept a post without any changes, modify a post according to developed moderator's code of conduct, reject a post, in which case the post will be permanently deleted. Users have ability to rate posts within the system as an anonymous and basic indication of their views regarding the stated content. And the last one is implementation of fixed published windows. All posts and comments were published only twice per day at 9 and 4 p.m. in order to not interrupt people from work-related duties, and as an additional measure against the abusive use and as mechanism of provision of egalitarianism in terms of giving the equal ability to speak up to any user and protect against storming by overly active ones. The system was open to all research and professional staff members within the department. The main aim of the system, from the user's perspective, was to provide them with a safe space to share their concerns regarding the relocation, restructure process, and relationships within the department. Additionally, providing them with the possibility to collaborate and coordinate their actions. That was reached with a few initiatives that were taken out of the system to an offline world. Overall, this deployment lasted for 2 weeks within more than 140 unique users. This case study showed that having predefined topics helped to overcome initial hesitation and support uptake by many users, as well as having support from the independent and trusted third party provides an additional sense of trust from employees. In this case study, a local trade union acted as one. As for analysis, all threads and messages were annotated to indicate the relationship between individual messages, as well as to indicate connections between the design principles and goals and the substantive content of what was said. Data was annotated in relation to a manner of stating the idea, scope of the content, direction of the statement or request. As you can see here, the following themes emerged as the most discussed one during deployment. Workplace experience and discrimination, one of the major discussion topics that were posted related to the organizational justice and more specifically gender pay, equal opportunities and workplace discrimination, including some highly sensitive ones that highlighted the importance of the system's anonymity. Some posts generated a call to action that could be dealt with by and for the staff themselves. For example, users organize physical well-being classes after extended online discussion on the system, followed by offline discussion facilitation by the voluntary de-anonymization through the Google form. This does raise another issue of getting matters offline in order to trigger action and adhere to efficiency. While we observe a natural drop-off messages submitted over the course of the deployment, I would say novelty effect, a reasonable amount of activity was sustained to the end of the deployment, thus reinforcing the initial idea of having the time deployment. Even though in our deployment we did not observe any practical disadvantages for facilitating employee voice, it was clear that the anonymous nature of post could lead to skepticism from the management. Thus, the design of an effective employee voice system might require the provision of different levels of privacy, ranging from full anonymity through partial anonymity and in some cases full identity disclosure. The transition from voice to action on our system was facilitated by the involvement of trade union, whose members would take up a serious complaints. Ideally, if a claim is raised on the platform, a third-party union or HR should be able to take this forward, for example, by contacting the employee who raised the complaint. Based on this observation and findings, we can suggest that anonymity in itself does provoke more constructive and frank discussion without disadvantages on discourse flow or civility. However, it should be accompanied by a later step of action upon the discussion if necessary. It may be better to have a spectrum of possible anonymity configurations that improve the capacity to coordinate effective action. Slowness, in its turn, has contributed to the mitigation of flaming and other categories of aggressive behavior that is prevalent in anonymous systems. However, the real-world nature of our study and the absence of control means that we cannot make stronger claims to its impact yet. Another aspect of the system that requires significant further exploration is how it can inform or configure actionable outcomes. Our participants made explicit requests that the evidence from the system be considered by senior management to inform policy and practices. To this end, providing users and potential initiators with more generalized guidelines and templates for an employee voice process that incorporates the system and covers stages such as planning, deployment, analysis, and actioning on the system would be more beneficial. The process of this discussion itself was evolutionary. One claim or suggestion led to other, often on quite different topics. This resulted in not only the collection of a broad range of complaints and ideas, but also the collation in a way that might not have been exposed by other means. At the end, design goals of anonymity and moderation allowed participants to openly air their ideas, ensuring safety and egalitarianism of voices. Finally, there were a number of people using the system as a form of social affirmation. For the work context, the need for social affirmation might stem from a fear of reprisal on existing work communication platforms, where the employees identify and visible. We saw opportunities for such systems to accommodate such peer or peer-to-peer support mechanisms, while also underlying the importance of their sustainability and permanence. Of course, some of the system properties, such as moderation, raise some questions from users. Thus, the transparency of this process is an ongoing concern that can be explored further. We have found that our system developed based on identified design principles and goals was able to effectively facilitate employee voice over the course of 2 weeks deployment, generating a diverse range of constructive discussions in respect to issues that were often challenging and unlikely to be fully discussed openly within the workplace. In one sense, this demonstrates a significant degree of trust in the system, at least by those who choose to post. Some of the comments could have had significant consequences for people if posted them under their own name. Thank you for your attention. If you would like to explore more, please do not hesitate to read the paper, contact us, and check the system's website.